So this next lesson is still solving equations with variables on both sides, except for now it's going to be part B. So we're still working out of section 1.3 in the textbook, but now we're going to focus more on problems that have grouping symbols or parentheses. So if we look at example 2a, it says solving equations with grouping symbols. Remember, that's another word for parentheses. So we have 3 times x plus 4 equals 2 times x minus 1. So before we can move things across the equal sign or cancel things out, we actually have to make sure that each side of the equal sign is simplified. And these aren't simplified because we can distribute on both sides. So distributing means taking the number in front of the parentheses and multiplying it by the terms inside of the parentheses. So on the left side, we're going to do 3 times x, which is just 3x. And then we're going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. So plus 12. And then equals, and then if I distribute on the right side, 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times 1, except this is a minus 1, so we have to actually multiply it by negative 1. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then now this equation looks more like the ones that we did yesterday. So 3x plus 12 equals 2x minus 2. So I need to next get now that the left side is simplified and the right side is simplified, I need to get my variables on the same side of the equal sign. So I can either subtract 3x to cancel it out on the left, or I can subtract 2x to cancel it out on the right. So I think I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, because that'll help us avoid working with a negative. So whatever I do to the right side, I have to do also to the left side. Minus 2x. And just make sure you keep it lined up with the other x term, because those are like terms. So 3x minus 2x is just x, or 1x. I'm going to bring down that plus 12. Bring down the equal sign. 2x minus 2x cancels out, and then bring down that minus 2. So x plus 12 equals negative 2. So again, our goal is to get x by itself on its own side of the equal sign. So right now 12 is being added to x. So to undo adding 12, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I'll bring down my x. 12 minus 12 cancels out, equals negative 2 minus 12, or like negative 2 plus negative 12. So the signs are the same, so I'm just going to add these numbers. So 14. And then negative, they're both negative, so it'll be negative 14. So x equals negative 14 is our solution. And then for example 2b, so it says 1/2 times 6h minus 4 equals negative 5h plus 1. So I know sometimes we don't really like working with fractions that much, but working with or multiplying things by 1/2 is actually not so bad. So if you multiply a number by 1/2, that's the same thing as dividing by 2. So in order for me to solve this, I first have to make sure each side of the equal sign is simplified. So the right side is simplified, but the left side is not, because I can distribute that 1/2. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 1/2 and I'm going to multiply it by 6h. So again, if you multiply any number by 1/2, that's the same thing as dividing by 2. So 1/2 times 6h is like 6h divided by 2. So that'll be 3h. And then 1/2 times negative 4, since this is a minus 4 or a negative 4. So that's like negative 4 divided by 2. So that's negative 2. So 1/2, just think I'm taking 6h minus 4 and I'm cutting it in half. So 6h becomes 3h, negative 4 becomes negative 2, and then equals negative 5h plus 1. And now the left side is simplified along with the right, so now I can focus on getting my variables on the same side. So I can either subtract 3h here, or I can add 5h here. So I think I'm going to add the 5h so that I can work with positive numbers. So I'm going to add 5h to both sides to cancel it out on the right, and then whatever I do to the right side of the equal sign, I have to do to the left. So again, keep it lined up with the same like terms. 3h plus 5h is 8h minus 2 equals negative 5h plus 5h cancel out, and then you bring down the plus 1, so equals 1. And now I just have a two-step equation. So I'm going to undo my subtraction first. So I'm going to undo that minus 2 by adding 2 to both sides, and then I get 8h equals 2, 1 plus 2, so 3. And then I'm going to rewrite this up here. 8h equals 3, so I have 8 being multiplied by h. So in order to undo multiplying by h, I can divide both sides by, in order to undo multiplying by 8, I can undo or divide both sides by 8. So 8 divided by 8 goes away. You're just left with h equals, and then I can't really divide 3 by 8 and get a whole number out, so I'm just going to leave that as a fraction, and that fraction is already reduced because I don't have, or I cannot divide them both by the same number. So h equals 3/8. And then for example 3, it says identifying the number of solutions. So in order to identify the number of solutions, you have to try to solve the equation. So there's different types of solutions. All of what we've done before, there's just that one solution that we've solved for, but sometimes you could have no solution and sometimes you can have infinitely many solutions. It just depends on the equation. So for 3a, it's 2x plus 5 equals 2x minus 3. So our first goal is to get the variables on the same side. So I can either subtract 2x here, or I can subtract 2x here, and wind up doing both. So if I want to say I want to move or cancel out the x's on the left side, I'm going to subtract 2x from 2x, and then whatever I do to the left side, I also have to do to the right side. So when I go through and simplify this, 2x minus 2x cancels out. I'll bring down my 5. 2x minus 2x, oh, that also cancels out, and then I'll bring down my negative 3. So I ended up with 5 equals negative 3, which is not true. It's definitely not true. They're not the same number. So since they're not true, or since that's not a true statement, since it's not a true statement, we say there's no solution. No possible solutions that make that equation work. And then for 3b, so it's 3x plus 1, so minus 5 equals 3x minus 2. So before I start trying to move things from side to side, remember I have to simplify each side of the equal sign. The right side is already simplified, but the left side, I can distribute this 3. So if I distribute this 3, remember we're only distributing to what's inside the parentheses there. So 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times 1 is just 3, and then I stop when the parentheses closes. So I don't distribute to the negative 5, I only distribute to what's inside the parentheses, and then I just bring down the negative 5 equals 3x minus 2, and then 3x plus 3 minus 5 equals 3x minus 2. So we're still not fully simplified yet because I have like terms on this left side that I can combine. So I can combine 3 and negative 5. So with 3 and negative 5, the signs are different. So we take the difference between those two numbers and the sign from the larger one. So I'm going to bring down my 3x, and then positive 3 and negative 5, that would be negative 2. Just like the difference between 3 and 5 is 2, but the 5 has the negative, and that's the larger absolute value, so we'll end up with a negative answer. And then equals, bring down the 3x minus 2, and then now my left side is simplified and my right side is simplified. So now I want to get my variables on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 3x to cancel it out on the left, and whatever I do on the left I have to do to the right. So 3x minus 3x cancels out. I'll bring down my negative 2. 3x minus 3x also cancels out, and I'll bring down my negative 2 again. So negative 2 equals negative 2. So that is a true statement. So when you end up with something that is a true statement, so one number equals the same number, we say it's infinitely many solutions.